students, we have you have learned about the assessment techniques of, for example, vulnerability assessment, hazard assessment, coping capacity assessment. All these are required to assess the risk. Ultimately, one needs to know the risk. Now, there are various other methods to assess the though risk is a function of vulnerability and hazard, and it is inversely proportional to the coping capacity. There are various methods of estimating the risk. We will learn now these methods, and also we would learn about various case studies where these methods have been used. The most used methods for estimating risk for disaster management are preliminary risk analysis with several variants, that is, rapid risk ranking and hazard identification, or HAZID. Preliminary risk analysis, or PRA, is a semi quantitative analysis that is performed to identify all potential hazards and hazardous events that may lead to a disaster. This analysis also helps to rank the identified hazardous events according to their severity. And thirdly, it helps to identify required hazard controls and follow up actions. This method is used in designing risk reduction interventions using probabilistic information on hazard intensities, exposure, and vulnerability. It is also used in the cost benefit for cost benefit analysis, where cost of specific interventions to reduce the losses can be seen vis-a-vis the benefits which are accrued due to implementation of these specific interventions. The preliminary risk analysis is worked through a worksheet, and here you can see the worksheet where the various steps are identified for the risk. So the first step is what could go wrong. That means what is the hazard or unwanted event. Second is what would be the potential impact, that is meaning the harm or the consequences. Third step is about how might the hazard occur, that is the causative factors, the potential causative factors for the hazard. Next three steps 4A, 4B, and 4C, discusses or puts forth the likelihood of occurrence, the severity of the consequence, and the risk score. The risk score is derived or calculated based on the likelihood of occurrence. That means what is the likelihood? That is, what is the likelihood on a scale of 1:5, and how significant is the impact on a scale of 1:5. And the last step, after one calculates the risk, the level of risk, how to control or mitigate the hazard. So step 5 talks about possible additional controls. The scale of 1:5 pertaining to likelihood is about whether the occurrence is improbable, that is one, then remote, then sometimes, then probable, then highly probable, in the ascending order, with 5 as the highly probable occurrence. The severity of consequence, the gradation of the significance or the severity of the consequence is measured or is scaled as negligible, then marginal, then serious, critical, and then catastrophic. So the more, therefore, catastrophic is about very severe consequence. The risk matrix approach developed by Arthur Little involves several steps that are related to each other. First is to identify and characterize the hazards, including the severity, causative factors, and interrelationships within or between the hazards. Second is the screen risk, that is, rank or order the identified hazards as a function of the relative degree of risk. So it's basically trying to look at the hazards in relation to the relative degree of risk, and that means it is the identified hazards are being ranked based on the relative degree of risk. The third step is about estimating risk, that means evaluating risk, the methodology for evaluating risk. So the risk which is evaluated is put in the format, as you can see from this diagram, where the likelihood and the consequences are. So the likelihood can be classified as almost certain, likely, possible, unlikely, and rare. The consequences can be categorized as marginal, minor, moderate, major to severe. And you can see when it becomes critical, at for which likelihood various consequences, and the likelihood consequences matrix shows that at what level which risk would be critical. After the risks have been identified and estimated, the next step is to find out whether they can be tolerated. If they cannot be tolerated, then one tries to develop alternatives to reduce the risk. That is through cost-effective actions, including technological and management controls, so as to address unacceptable risks. The next is about implementation of the mitigation measures to control the risk to acceptable level. So there are three situations after identification of risks. One is if it's whether it can be tolerated, if it cannot be tolerated, if it's not acceptable, then what needs to be done, and the third is if it is, how to bring down the risk to acceptable levels through various mitigation measures, implementation of those mitigation measures. And the last step is to periodically monitor and review the risks. So you can see here how New York has mapped the risk from very low to very high. This is another case of Arad city in western Romania, and Arad city has also mapped the risk in terms of, or ranked it from insignificant to very high, and based on various hazard levels. And this is about, basically it is based on the urban heat island levels. Estimation of the flood hazard in western Athens metropolitan area was done using a GIS based methodology. The morphometric characteristics of the catchments were also considered for this estimation. Finally, a flood hazard map was compiled for the metropolitan area. You can see from this drawing, or this you can see from this map, the flood events, the extent of past flooding phenomena, and the drainage network of this area. You can see from the map the morphometric characteristics, the extent of flooding, and the drainage network of West Athens, which was an input data set for working out the flood hazard map. The second data set was was the geological data that were based on geological maps and additional detailed field mapping, which was done in 1:5000 scale. The land use data were based on a land use land cover data set, that is Corine maps and topographic maps of 1:5000 scale, sourced from Hellenic Military Geographic Service. So there were various sources based on which the land use data was sourced. So thus the development of hydrographs along the drainage network. So if we can see this, you can see the steps in these figures where the time area diagrams along the drainage network for each subcatchment was worked out, which led to the time area histograms for each subcatchment, and based on that the development of hydrographs along the drainage network was developed. Based on that, the hydrographs along the drainage network were developed. Following this, the peak discharge calculation for the various subcatchments were done, and they were all interpolated, and the flood hazard classes were delineated. You can see the final map to this process which has been explained. So the final map, which is the flood hazard map of the study area in absolute peak discharge measures, meter cube per second, and it shows that higher values, that the flood hazard ranged from very low to moderate to very high, and certain areas, for example, areas of Ilion or Nazi, had very high values. This approach highlights and helps us to prioritize the locations where actions need to be taken so as to mitigate the risk.